between the flying circus and the man from Russia. The sky in a plane, this man commands his domain. The western runs it all the way to Russia. Just from above, you're under fire. Sailor and his blood is roaming higher. Born a soldier from the heart back to the skies. That's where the legend will arise. And he's flying higher, king of the sky, flying to pass and he's flying to high. Higher, an eye for an eye, the legend will never die. First to the scene, it's a lethal machine. He's not the April and the tide is turning. Fire at will, it's the thrill of the kill, putting the nation down with engines burning. Embrace the flame, red squadron leader. Call out this name, Proteka Flyga. In the game to win, the gambler rolls the dice. 80 allies paid the price. And he's flying higher, the king of the sky, flying to pass and he's flying to high. Higher, an eye for an eye, the legend will never die. Sky is flying to pass again, is flying too high, is flying higher. An eye for an eye, the legend will never die. Higher. Soldier from the heart back to the skies, and the legend never dies. And he's flying, and he's flying, and he's flying higher. The king of the sky, he's flying to pass and he's flying to high. Higher, an eye for an eye, the legend will never die. Higher, the king of the sky, he's flying to pass and he's flying to high. Higher, an eye for an eye, the legend will never die.
Okay, I believe it should be working now. How is everybody this morning? It is Larsen Live. And it is December 10th, and we have a bit of a wacky news week to go into today. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so yes, as quite a lot of what I'm going to be talking about does tie into the title of this stream, The Return of the Kaiserreich. Okay, we opened up with a Sabaton song, The Red Baron. I don't think I need to explain what the subject of the song is about. And why does that tie into today's topic of discussion? It's because there was an attempted far-right coup in Germany. But worry not, it was not an attempt to resurrect the Third Reich, it was an attempt to resurrect the Second Reich, the Kaiserreich, the Hohenzollerns. So, I'm slightly more amenable to that than the Third Reich. Because, at the very least, the Second Reich was not explicitly anti-Semitic and genocidal. In fact, more than 150,000 Jews fought for the Kaiser and died for the Kaiser. But I digress. So yeah, let's read about that. First of all, I'm looking at the basic idea was they recruited a bunch of, KSK, like, special forces guys and, ex-military guys. And the plan was they're going to seize the Reichstag. They're going to put Prince Heinrich XIII of Rus of Gross. I don't speak German. I don't know what the hell that is. And they're going to put him on the throne and bring back the Kaiserreich. Kampfstiefel. 3,000 police officers were needed to arrest 25 guys, which seems a bit like overkill to me. But I must say, Prince Heinrich, he might be a deposed Junker, but he's rocking that pocket square. At the very least, the man does dress well, which is more than I can say for some other political leaders in the world. All right, let's see. We got some comments here. All right, got a text message. Everyone's here seems to be hearing me now, so I don't have to worry about that. Give me 1 second. I'm going to address this text message. All right, let's see. We got some comments here. RP Brothers says, oh, he was talking about that Jeffrey Daughtry, the Christian whistleblower. Now, I haven't watched him. Jim Tuner says, if the Kaiserreich is to be restored, it will not be restored under the non-noble grandson of a governor of Togo. Well, I believe, technically speaking, he is noble in that he does come from a noble family, but doesn't really mean much of anything now because they don't have any political power. All right. So the WAPO, the Washington Post, asks, why do some German soldiers seem to be rejecting democracy? Maybe because it sucks. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, so the accused of this coup includes several former members of the Bundeswehr, Germany's military, as well as one active member of the KSK, Special Forces. The focus of the recruitment efforts were mainly members of the Bundeswehr and police. So, apparently, extremist cells within Germany's armed forces have long been a problem, which, again, fair enough. I hear that about the United States military as well. And in general, for some strange reason, the military seems to attract like right-wing kind of wackadoos. Can't imagine why, the Männerbund, that is the military, would attract that. Yeah, let's see. They're recruiting people to overthrow the governments. Yeah, apparently these 25 guys are just gonna, storm Parliament and just hold it. Which that didn't work when Yukio Mishima tried to do it, and I don't know why these German guys expected it would work here. But once again, Germany and Japan united in right-wing romantic lunacy, I suppose. Yeah, so a lot of people were arrested, including this deposed prince, who was wearing a very nice tweed jacket, by the way. And yeah, as far as royalty goes, I mean, it seems to be better than the British royalty, I should say, at least. Okay. Jim Tuner says it's going to be an excuse for another political purge in Germany. It's perhaps it will. Yeah, I mean, considering what Angela Merkel's done to Germany, I mean, I feel like it would be a lateral move, honestly, if they brought back the Kaiserreich, in all honesty. Again, I don't profess to be an expert in German politics, but, seems like the situation kind of sucks there. Would it be any worse? Hey, hey, RP Brothers says that Japan wasn't really bad, though, in World War II. I'm going to have to disagree with that, sir. But anyway, let's move on from strapping on the Kampfstiefel, and let's move on to other international politics. Okay, in other international news, Brittany Griner, the WNBA player, I'm going to have to go on hearsay for that because I've never watched a single game of the WNBA, and neither has anybody apparently. Kidding. Yes, she was prisoner exchanged for Viktor Bout, the Lord of War. And I mean that literally because Viktor Bout is the guy who the Nicolas Cage film Lord of War was based upon. So, then meanwhile, Joe Biden's like, we got to bring back that assault weapons ban. I did it back in '94. I was good. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's literally setting free like the biggest arms dealer on the planet. I mean, I guess it's good that she's back. Would I have gotten maybe some more prisoners? Perhaps. I believe there's also some soldier who was in prison in Russia, and I do believe he got out, which is good. Some people are calling for, we got to take out Viktor Bout. I don't know about that. I don't know how likely that's going to be, even. How likely it's going to be to even accomplish that. Okay. Got some comments here. Jim Tuner says that Prince Heinrich is not royal in any sense. He's about 3 or 4 generations removed from any actual title of nobility. Well, yes, that's what I was saying. His family's not held political power in generations. It's basically just a way to feel good about yourself when you have this sort of, royal heritage, but it doesn't really mean anything. R.P. Brothers is continuing with a, shall we say, revisionist take on World War II. The U.S. wasn't good, though, either. Yeah, certainly. I'm not going to say the U.S. was, some shining paragon of light. Do I approve of the atomic bombs? I see them as, at best, a necessary evil. It says we blocked their trade routes in the South Pacific. Again, I see, people saying, America blockaded Japan. We embargoed them. I don't think we blockaded them. And, I can't imagine why we would have done that. What was Japan doing in China and Korea and all those other places? I know that, nowadays, we're basically, the narrative that we're given is essentially that America, for no reason, just started a campaign of, horrible, evil genocide against the innocent Japanese. But I'm going to have to slightly disagree with that. Right? Speaking of international news, Canada continues to tell people to euthanize themselves vis-a-vis the national healthcare system. A chronically ill woman who featured in a controversial Canadian euthanasia commercial, she complained months earlier that she wanted to live, but she couldn't afford the care to improve her quality of life. Yeah, this is that Jennifer commercial I was telling you about last week. Yeah, she was the subject of a controversial campaign by Canadian fashion house La Maison Simone about MAID, medical assistance in dying. Yes, the All is Beauty commercial, which I talked about last week, included audio of Jennifer, spelled with a Y, by the way, talking about her sacred last breath. It was fiercely criticized over claims that it glorifies suicide. She was chronically ill. The woman died, just FYI, but it has now emerged that Jennifer gave an interview in June in which she complained about falling through the cracks, intent to get treatment for her Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS. I will admit I don't exactly know what that is. Yeah, so Canada legalized euthanasia in 2016. Last year, more than 10,000 people were euthanized. Well, it saves money, don't you know? It saves money so Justin Trudeau can buy harem pants and dance about like the drama teacher that he is. That commercial, which I don't know if you people looked it up, but it is exactly like I described. It's like, happy beach time, jellyfish, aquariums, playing the cello, kill yourself, wink. Can't say I approve of that. Okay. Let's see. C-Punk Messiah says it's awesome that you criticize both left and right wingers because both sides deserve criticism. Yes, they do. I contribute to Terror House, which is the literary magazine. And what? For those of you who don't know, Terror House magazine is named that way because it is in honor of a museum in Hungary, which documents both the horrors of fascism and communism. So it's a repudiation of those things and trying to find the sensible third way between the far left and the far right. Okay, let's see. RP Brothers talking about it's bad with what they did in China, referring to Imperial Japan. Then again, Zog is terrible. Well, again, I'm not going to talk about Israel right now. Let's kind of back off there. Right, Mr. Deeds says Paul Whelan, the soldier, still lived in a Russian prison. I thought he was free. My apologies if I got that wrong. Okay, Rick says I wish Justin Trudeau inherited his father's fascination with breeding super cows. I didn't know that Pierre Trudeau was trying to breed giant cows. I know in the 1940s, America bred like giant chickens, which is actually most chickens nowadays are those chickens of the future, which is why chickens don't taste as good as they used to. Yeah, there's a whole thread on Twitter I saw a while back about that. Talked about how chickens used to be just plump and juicy, and you didn't even have to marinate them or anything. Now we have these big meaty chickens that don't have good taste. Jim Tuner says we'll go to any length to get back a WNBA player or someone who deserted like Bo Bergdahl. Anyone else like that Marine is SOL as far as the U.S. government is concerned. Well, I suppose that women's basketball players and other less than pleasant people are more important than the soldiers. But again, I could also argue that soldiers shouldn't have been there in the first place. Again, I don't know exactly how Paul Whelan ended up there. Okay, Mr. Deeds says MAID covers the mentally ill. I've been hearing rumors that it basically you can get euthanasia in Canada if you're just depressed or even like just feeling kind of blue. They'll kill your ass. Rick says it was Fidel Castro that experimented with cow breeding. I see, yes. You're referring to the conspiracy theory that Justin Trudeau was Fidel Castro's son. Well, I mean, to be fair, Margaret Trudeau was a bit of a skank. But yeah, I didn't know about Fidel Castro's cattle breeding program. I mean, my knowledge of agriculture in communist Cuba basically, I know that Che Guevara totally butchered the sugarcane harvest one year, which led to the Escambre Rebellion in the mountains, which the CIA tried to fund and give arms to. But yeah, I will admit I don't know that much about agriculture in communist Cuba. I do like a nice jamon sandwich, though. That, of course, is pigs, not cows. RP Brothers says Bloodsport 4 is a horrible movie. I haven't seen it. I did know that there were sequels to Bloodsport. I don't know why anybody was demanding Bloodsport sequels. I mean, didn't just say everything you needed to say in the first one. Steampunk Messiah says chickens are playing the long game, getting bigger and bigger till they get to the T-Rex status. Yes, occasionally I hear rumors that people are going to try to, kind of turn on recessive genes using CRISPR machines and epigenetics. They're going to try to stimulate those chicken. They have those like recessive T-Rex genes. Essentially, you would get like a chicken-sized T-Rex rather than a T-Rex-sized chicken. Oh, if only we could get a geneticist who has no moral qualms to kind of do something like that. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go blow my nose. Okay, I am back. RP Brothers speaking very schizophrenically. And he was at first getting into some weird conspiracy theories, and now he's talking about Bolo Yeung. Bolo Yeung was a staple in martial arts movies. Yes, he was. He's still pretty terrifying to look at, even now in his dotage. C-Punk Messiah says that's how Yoshi was created. Perhaps. I mean, I assume you're referring to the 1993 Mario Yoshi, which I actually really like the way he looked. It was a really cool puppet. And the way it's going, I think they're going to be bringing chocobos. Oh, sorry, I wouldn't say bringing back. They're going to be raising chocobos first. Nothing says fun like big riding chickens. Okay, yes. Let's move on. In America, there was a bill that passed both houses, the Congress and the Senate, and all it has to do is get Mumbly Joe's signature. It is called the Tiger King Bill. It bans all big cat ownership in private hands. And there's a small part of me which is like, people should be able to own wild animals if they want, but at the same time, I'm like, no, they're endangered species. They should be held in, properly trained, you know, sanctuaries and rescue houses. So, yeah, as much as I don't like government oversight, yes, I do support the idea of the animals being left alone. So, yes, I am tepidly in favor of the Tiger King bill. I don't know why the state of Texas in particular has so many tigers in private hands, but yeah, I think those tigers ought to be treated well and put in proper rescues and zoos and other such places. Okay. RP Brothers says, yes, Bolo Young is still a great fighter too. Jim Tuner says the tigers ought to be euthanized and properly established. Wait, he deleted it. Now, to answer your question at the beginning, RP Brothers, why does Antifa support black on Asian crime? Well, it's because of that progressive stack, I would assume. Essentially, in the leftist mindset, there's like a stack of people who are more privileged, they're better off in society, etc. And blacks are near the bottom, so obviously they're going to support them. Asians, haven't you heard? Asians are white adjacent. They're honorary whites. So therefore, they're like almost like white people. So therefore, when black people attack Asian people, that's that's justice. That's good. At least that's my understanding of the topic. Right? In random Twitter silliness, speaking of the state of domestic politics in America, I saw a video from New York City of some woman cooking what looked like rats on a rotisserie. I was told that they were guinea pigs, which is a Peruvian delicacy. But yeah, we're cooking rodents on rotisseries in the streets of New York City. So is America officially a third world country now? I mean, when exactly do you declare that to be the case? And yes, I know that technically America can never be a third world country because third world refers to the unaligned countries during the Cold War, but I'm using third world in the colloquial sense. I'm not gonna lie, I would try guinea pig once, but there is still something I find rather unsettling about it just, happening on like the streets of Manhattan. Like, oh boy, rodent rotisseries. RP Brothers says also Hispanics can be in that category with Asians as well. Yes, yes, they can. And of course, there's a huge, rift in the Hispanic community about, those who look more white and those who do not. There's a lot of beef pertaining to colorism and things like that in the Hispanic community. RP Brothers says they're farming crickets in Canada. Yes. Now, I'm not super against the whole insect eating thing, and for that matter, eating rodents. But can we, like, I don't know, it's not a good look for society. Can we, like, keep that shit inside? Rick says rat burgers. Someone needs to make a Demolition Man cookbook. Well, I believe it was actually guinea pigs, but yeah, close enough. Rodents are rodents. C-Punk Messiah says we're a dystopian country without the cool aesthetics. Yeah, I think I said, and I know other people said too, that America is basically going to be like a shittier version of Brazil. Like it's going to be Brazil with, colder weather and uglier women. Yep, our future is going to be great. All right, so now we're going to, stagger into the pop culture section of the stream. To be honest with you, I was a little busy this week, so I didn't prepare too much in the way of remarks. All right, so first of all, speaking of racial politics and racial news, apparently, did you know there's a big problem with Shark Week? Yes, apparently, Shark Week on the Discovery Channel does not have enough diversity. There's too many white men named Mike, scientists say. Yeah, let's see. Lisa Whitenack loved sharks as a kid. Spent rainy days living through Guide to Sharks and Reader's Digest. She watched Shark Week every summer, Discovery's annual television event that has 7 days of dedicated shark-related programming. But she rarely saw any women she could look up to. Why would I know I could do that? I don't come from a family of scientists. I don't see people that look like me on television. Out of curiosity, what does Lisa Whitenack look like? I'm going to look up what this lady... is there a picture of Ms. Whitenack? I believe she's a black woman. I think I dimly recall seeing this. Just let me see if I can find a picture of this woman just so I can confirm. Let's see. Okay. Well, anyway, Whitenack, now a biology professor at Allegheny College in Pennsylvania. She found her way into oceanology anyway. So she achieved her dream of being a marine biologist. Whoopee. But she asks, was Shark Week feeding audiences the wrong message about sharks and who studies them? So she led a team of researchers to examine hundreds of episodes of Shark Week. Yeah, by the way, this is what this woman's doing. Instead of, studying sharks and marine biology, she's analyzing television shows about sharks and marine biology. Has anybody here ever read The Dilbert Principle by Scott Adams? Which is, obviously a book about his comic strip, but it's also, a pretty decent business book about how to run a business halfway decently. So anyway, one of the things he talks about to kind of trim the fat in a business is you got to remove the one step removed positions, what he calls one step removed. Now, what that is things that are not directly pertaining to, the work. It's things that are like about the work or things that are like analyzing the work. So the example he gives is like the difference between one step removed work and fundamental work is if you are talking directly to the customer, that is fundamental. But if you're talking to your coworkers about customers, that's one step removed, and you could remove that. So that's what this woman's doing. She's one step removing about Shark Week. And she was really upset that the programming featured more white men named Mike than any women. I have to ask, how many I feel like studying sharks is a very male thing. I mean, yeah, more power to you if you're a woman of color who wants to jump in the water and mess up your hair and like learn about the sharks. Anyway, I feel like this is all just a roundabout way to say, put me on Shark Week. Give me that TV money. Uh, yes, I find this a bit ridiculous. Okay, let's look at some comments here. Okay. Rick says, I was shown that article by a white man named Mike, and he laughed about it. Shark Lives Matter. Yeah. I mean, I've never worked in marine biology. I've done paleontology in the desert, which is as far away from marine biology as you can possibly get. But yeah, there was no. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there were a couple of ladies of color when I was doing paleontology, but I noticed that many. Could it be that studying sharks or doing paleontology and digging in the hot sun for hours and hours a day, that's something that men are more likely to do than women? I think it just might be. In her latest one step removed study, White Knack and the other researchers also found that more Shark Week episodes include stories of shark attacks and fear mongering rather than positive language describing sharks as awe inspiring or ecologically important. Now, yes, I think that's true. Sharks are very ecologically important. And in fact, they don't really hurt that many people a year. I mean, hippos are much more likely to kill people than sharks. I understand that, you got to bait people in by, talking about like, the killer sharks, eating people, being, remorseless eating machines. But yeah, when you're in the show itself, then you could talk about how ecologically important they are. Okay. Got some comments here. Seapunk Messiah says the fact that so many black and Hispanic boys look up to Goku, who don't need to match skin colors to look up to them. Yes, I agree. That's what I've always said. Bislankovic says Morocco 1, Portugal 0. Ah, yes, the soccer game is going on. Okay. Morocco is still clearly never forgotten the whole Moorish conquest of the Iberian Peninsula, and it looks like they're doing it again. Yeah, that was a nice Croatia game though. Went to penalty kicks with Brazil last night. And speaking of the football, soccer sports journalist Grant Wall was kicked out of a stadium in Qatar for a gay pride shirt. He reportedly died during the Argentina game. His brother says that Grant was fully healthy and he believes it was foul play. Yeah, so he got sick in Qatar. He had chest pain and he died. Uh, yeah, that's there might be some foul play and also might just be severe heat stroke. Yeah, there's a lot of people dying suddenly, and having really weird medical conditions. Like Rod Stewart's son, who is like 12 years old, he had a heart attack, and thankfully, I think he lived. But yeah, it's a lot of young, healthy people like just dying suddenly for no reason. Oh, but the Iron Sheik, professional wrestler, gave his regards to Grant Wall, so that's good. See, this is why I prefer dealing with Persians rather than Arabs. Okay, let's see. Rick says Lisa Whitenack is no Eugenie Clark, that's for sure. I am afraid to admit that I don't know who Eugenie Clark is. Ah, she's the Shark Lady, American ichthyologist known for on shark behavior and her study of fish in the order Tetrodontiformis, which I believe is the lobe-finned fish. No, they're the ray-finned fish. I'm an idiot. Hey, Biff Stankovic asked, why don't I get a PhD? Because I don't want to spend years and years in college, sir. Biff Stankovic also says Grant Wall is a great journalist and radio commentator. Yes. RP Brothers says dolphins kill people too. Yes, they do. I believe it's only like 6 people a year are killed by sharks. C-Punk Messiah says martial arts movies were a big inspiration to black kids back in the day. Absolutely. I notice in particular, it's like women who are the ones who say, no, I need representation. They got to look exactly like me. Whereas boys, they'll just grab onto anybody who's, masculine and cool and kicks ass. That's, I don't know why that is, but it is. Let's see. I'm just going to, okay, don't worry about that. Right? So, yeah, let's continue with pop culture. Apparently, there was the Video Game Awards that happened a couple days ago, which continues to be an absolute farce. I'm sorry, does anybody take the Video Game Awards seriously, the VGAs? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that basically just Todd Howard jacking himself off for a couple of hours every day, or every event that happens? But yeah, this year, apparently, uh, the Video Game Awards were even more of a colossal farce. Because for some inexplicable reason, who was presenting at the VGAs? None other than Al Pacino. I don't know how they got Al Pacino. Frankly, I don't think he does either. But yeah, he was there. Yeah, the VGAs are bullshit to begin with. But then you literally have Pacino like squinting at the teleprompter. He's like stumbling over his words. I don't know, I think he might have some early onset Alzheimer's or something. And he literally comes out on the podium. He's squinting. He's like, I can't see the teleprompter. And he's like, it may not be a surprise to you, but I don't play these video games. What am I doing here? Oh, God, I'm dying here. Everyone's coming down on me. Oh, that. God, that's hard on the throat there. Yeah, and but there was one little nugget of greatness at the VGAs, and that's some kid just ran out on stage. He rushed the stage, and he thanked Bill Clinton, his Orthodox rabbi Bill Clinton. I don't know what exactly he was getting at. I mean, I assume it was some kind of joke, but yeah, he thankfully they arrested this teenage boy who was doing a stupid joke. Well, he can rot in video game jail with Yuji Naka, I suppose. Let's see. RP Brothers says, "What do you think of Black Belt Magazine? It used to be great." I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think Black Belt Magazine was ever great. I mean, didn't Black Belt Magazine, weren't they the main propagators of Frank Dukes' whole like superhero bullshit story? Dave Slankovich says, "Good impression of Al Pacino." Thank you. I mean, anybody can do like a half-assed impression of Al Pacino. I mean, it's not exactly difficult. Rick says he has to head out. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming, sir. I mean, and yeah, with regards to Al Pacino, I mean, he's basically been doing Al Pacino impressions for the past 20 years of his career, to be quite honest. But yeah, it's good that I don't think he's really done anything since The Irishman, which came out a few years ago. But yeah, it's good that he got his check for the Video Game Awards and then just went home immediately and forgot that this ever happened. But yeah, speaking of Hollywood, somebody who is slightly less easy to do impressions of, but equally iconic, James Cameron. He, to the delight of basically nobody, he forged ahead and made a sequel to Avatar. And he says in a interview, testosterone is a toxin that men must purge for themselves, which really gives me hopes for this action movie. Yes, We got to get rid of that toxic masculinity, says James Cameron. Yes, the man who directed Terminator, Aliens, True Lies, Piranha 2, The Spawning. He did set design for Escape from New York and did script doctoring for Rambo 2. Yes, thank you, James Cameron, for lecturing me on my toxic masculinity. Clearly, this man owes none of his career to testosterone and other androgenic chemicals. Like, what the? Oh, God. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't eat meat anymore. Well, he says John Milius. He's still kicking. C Punk Messiah says Black Belt Magazine also gave handies to George Dillman as well. Yes, they sure did. I don't know, those a lot of those magazines are kind of crap, to be honest. C Punk Messiah says the masculinity is toxic, and boy howdy, we are biohazards. Indeed. Yeah, I find it rather hypocritical that arguably the world's most famous action movie director is lecturing us about our toxic masculinity. And speaking of aliens and Avatar, for that matter, obviously something that was, kind of humorous in pop culture news today is that an interview came out in which J Law, Jennifer Lawrence, was apparently under the impression that there were no female action movies before her. She literally said, before I did the Hunger Games, they said, you can never do a female led action movie. I want to pause and just let that sink in. There were no female action heroes before Jennifer Lawrence, 2014, whenever those movies came out. I did see the Hunger Games. I don't remember much of them. I remember thinking I should be watching The Running Man instead. Because, at no point in the Hunger Games does Katniss ever, threaten to force feed somebody a contract and then, I hope you leave room for my fist. I'm going to ram it into your stomach. Which would have made the Hunger Games much better, in my opinion. But yeah, there were no female action leads before you. Yeah, that's news to, Sigourney Weaver, Linda Hamilton, Cynthia Rothrock, Angelina Jolie, Michelle Yeoh, Angela Malian, Pam Grier, and just, on and on and on. But, yeah, you're cool, Jennifer Lawrence. What has she even been in recently, anyway? RP Brothers said George Dillman used chi to knock you out. Chi isn't even real, is it? Yes, I did a very nice video on George Dillman a few years back. You should all watch that. Mr. Deed says those magazines are all we had back in the day. Yeah, I understand that. I also understand that all those sort of mall ninja magazines, Black Belt, Inside Kung Fu magazine, Soldier of Fortune, those are all basically the successors of the sweat magazines, like those men's adventure magazines from the 50s, which are in themselves successors to the pulp magazines. C Punk Messiah says clearly Jennifer Lawrence doesn't know about Michelle Yeoh, as I said. If you want to be technical, there's been female action leads since the silent era. With those, melodramas, women, being tied to railroad tracks and stuff. C Punk Messiah says Jennifer Lawrence is just a female Chris Pratt. Well, I think there's a few differences. Insert the clip of Jennifer Lawrence, thanking Harvey Weinstein for, setting up her career, which of course she recanted, once, Big Boss Harvey went down the shitter. I'm starting to wonder, how does an I'm trying to think how to put this. All right, You would think that an actor would know about other movies, right? You would think that they would know about, their forebears that came before them. But then I started thinking, it also came to me when I was watching a clip of the stand-up comedian Tim Dillon. He was doing his podcast. He's very funny, by the way. Uh, he was like, I've worked in Hollywood. I've known show business people. Like, actors are not intelligent people. Like, they're dumb. They're not smart. They're stupid people. Just they're not. They're not intelligent. And I think that might really be it. I mean, combine that with like the whole self-centered attitude they have. From what I've heard from other people, actors in Hollywood are literally just the drama club kids from school who just grew up and got millions of dollars. So that's the kind of attitude you're dealing with here. Okay, RP Brothers says, what Wim Hof can do is incredible. I don't think that's chi, sir. I think that's biofeedback. And in fact, like chi and like things like that are, you know, really just sort of pre-scientific understandings of the world, which is actually a lesson I talked about in my bio class. RP Brothers has to head out. Goodbye, sir. Nice talking to you. C Punk Messiah says Grace Jones is another good example. Yes, there's another example of a lady of color, by the way, who was a action lead. Yeah, like I mentioned Pam Grier. That's another female lady who was of color, and she was an action hero too, action heroine. Mr. Deed says not a lot of millennials know or care about the past or how it actually was. I've noticed that. And yeah, speaking of pop culture, because it's not dumb enough, they're going to be making yet another Transformers movie, which I think Sean Baby put it best, where he was like, I think the Transformers movies are popular in China on the Far East just because seeing jumbles of like sheet metal transforming is good job training for those people. But yeah, anyway, it's going to be Transformers Rise of the Beasts. You would think this is going to be an adaptation of Beast Wars, but apparently it's going to tell stories about Black and Latinx culture. I shit you not. That is a direct quote. Let me look if I can find the source for this. Let's see. Yeah, the director says Transformer Rise of the Beast story will be about Black and Latinx culture. This is a story about robots that turn into giant like animals and stuff. And I'm told that Beast Wars has like really good storytelling and it's like much more complex than the G1 Transformers. I mean, I didn't watch Beast Wars when I was a kid. It was on when I was a little kid. Uh, I keep telling myself maybe I'll watch Beast Wars at some point, but I can't because that early '90s CG animation just looks like dog shit. But yeah, I don't understand how this robot transforming movie has to do with like Black and Latinx culture. And by the way, a movie about Black and Latinx culture titled Rise of the Beasts. I feel like that might be a little offensive. But, what do I care about Transformers? The only Transformers I really like is the original Transformers movie, and not that beige shit. I mean the 1986 cartoon Transformers, which, that, like, I will vouch the hell out of that. Okay, C Punk Messiah says Street Fighter 6 recently showed off a 6'8" Italian Amazon woman. She's actually pretty cool. Yes, I have seen that. I guess they got to make new characters since, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the Bruce Lee estate say, like, we're not letting you use Fei Long anymore? Yeah, bang up job, Shannon. And I know I talked about this months ago, but yeah, that's really still not. I don't understand how Fei Long is bad. Eh. All right, so that's some more pop culture news. Uh, in celebrity news, we had some birthdays and some death days. Unfortunately, Mills Lane died, the boxing referee, and also celebrity death matches go-to referee. Let's get it on. Yes, you are getting it on in heaven, good sir. All right. Let's see what else is going on. I'm going to do my brief Twitter sweep to see if there's anything interesting to talk about. Uh, see if anything is interesting. See, we got wages posting L's. Let's see if anything. Okay, something mildly interesting in wages posting L's. 4 years ago, I was doing trolleys at Sainsbury's on a Monday night. Okay, this is a British post. Trolleys are what the Angloids call grocery carts. So yeah, 4 years ago, he was doing trolleys on a Monday night. I left, worked hard, and got my degree from the University of Sheffield. Now I'm doing trolleys at Waitrose on Friday nights. Never give up. Star 100% diamond grocery cart. Yep, kids, you work really hard, and you could stock grocery carts at the fancy grocery store. Yeah, no more Acme. I'm going to Whole Foods. Woo! Anyway, with regards to grocery carts, all I have to say about that is I have a picture in my meme reel for a very good reason. The citizen returns the grocery cart, the civilian does not. I am one of those people who always returns the grocery cart. Sipung Messiah says Fei Lung was more flattering than later games' depictions of martial law. I don't know. I never found martial law to be like offensive or anything. Then again, I was never a huge Tekken fan. Let me look this bad boy up. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I don't see what's bad about martial law. And, I get like the idea that the Bruce Lee estate wants to only have like flattering depictions of the paterfamilias, but I'm like, you guys really could have done this back in the '70s, and they were making like The Dragon Lives Again, which is where Bruce Lee, played by Bruce Lung, fights his way out of hell alongside Chinese Popeye the Sailor Man. Okay, Biff Stankovic says Millsland ref the Tyson ear bite fight. Yes, he did. Didn't he also ref the that fight where like the fan man like crashed the ring? I think it was a Riddick Bowe fight. Let me look that up. Okay, let's see. I think he did the fan man. I'm pretty sure he did the fan man. Oh, fun fact: Mills Lane, he was the NCAA boxing champion, when he was in college. He also served in the Marines. Yes, always respect a good ref. Looking at some pictures. Yeah, he ref that fight where the guy just started crying in the middle of the ring. Ref the ear bite. Yes, he did ref the fan man fight. Yeah, he also refed Tyson's comeback fight against Peter McNeely, which is basically like Homer Simpson. Okay, C Punk Messiah says martial law became a joke alongside Paul Phoenix. Again, I don't. He says the character stories might be a bit fuzzy. I mean, I feel like all the Tekken characters became kind of clowns like later on. You got like like that girl riding the panda bear, and there's like an ending where Heihachi Mishima is like walking around in a Speedo, and like there's like a girl who becomes a mermaid. Tekken's some goofy bullshit. So I don't think it's really necessary to complain about martial law becoming a joke. I think everybody became a joke, honestly. And man, like that Tekken Blood Vengeance movie, holy shit, that was a pile of ass. Yeah, like I hate to recommend Spoonie because he's a complete dick nowadays, but yeah, his review of Tekken Blood Vengeance movie, that's actually really funny. But yeah, that movie, woof. Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying before, if the Bruce Lee estate wanted to, you know, stop like unflattering depictions of the paterfamilias, like where were you when like Clay Fighter was making like, bucktooth Kung Pao Man? Where were you when like again, where were you when The Dragon Lives Again was depicting Bruce Lee and like Chinese Clint Eastwood and Chinese Popeye fighting through hell against like Dracula and mummies and stuff? Yes, and speaking of Popeye the Sailor Man, December 8th was Elzie Segar's birthday, the cartoonist who created everybody's favorite violent nautical enthusiast. So yes, happy birthday, Elzie Segar. Yes, I've always enjoyed Popeye because, a combination of fisticuffs and proper nutrition. How can you not like that? It's good stuff. Every so often they try to revive the character and it never gets off the ground, and I will tell you exactly why. It's because he's not allowed to punch people anymore. It's always some schoolmarm saying, oh, like you can't hit people. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If Popeye isn't allowed to punch people, you have fundamentally failed to understand the character and just give up. Like, please, just don't even bother. Punching is a fundamental part of the character. So yeah, that's all I got to say. That's my prepared remarks. If anybody has anything else to say, you can say it now. Otherwise, I got a vamoose. Give you a minute to say your last pieces. C-Punk Messiah says regarding Popeye not being allowed to punch people, it's like taking away Elmer Fudd's shotgun. Agreed. Yeah, Gendy Tartakovsky, uh, I know in 2014 he did like a demo reel for like a potential Popeye movie. And, I like Gendy Tartakovsky a lot, but I gotta be honest, I wasn't really feeling that movie. The animation looked good, the voices were good, but again, it's the problem. Like, he's not just starching people, he's not just kicking the shit out of people. Like, that, like, you need to have him just putting hands on people and kicking ass. And I know for a fact that Gendy Tartakovsky knows that. I mean, the guy made Primal. Like, I know he wanted to have Popeye just, blasting people in the face with punches. But, the studio was like, no, you can't do that. The schoolmarm's going to be upset. You're me. Well, here's hoping that, Popeye can just wreck dudes in the face again. All right, so again, anybody has anything else to say it now. Okay, C-Punk Messiah says Popeye starring Jason Statham. Oh, my ass, they're going to make him British. All right, so with that, I think I will head out. So for Larsen Halleck, I'm Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.